It's a queer old world we live in, where very often things are not what they seem, and the truth is stranger than fiction. The Dominion of Canada is no exception to the rule. For instance, people often speak of Manitoba as being a western province, yet its capital, Winnipeg, is in the exact center of the North American continent. A circle with its center at Winnipeg will touch the 4 oceans which bound the continent. Furthermore, although Manitoba is a prairie province, it is also a maritime province with salt water lapping its shores and ocean steamers calling at its seaport. Did you know that on the barren shores of Hudson's Bay, near the ruins of old Fort Churchill, stands Canada's newest seaport? And although the port of Churchill is many miles north of any other developed harbor in the Dominion, it boasts one of the most modern grain elevators in the world. Strange as it seems, with all that water about, there's not a drop of fresh water in the town. It has to be piped in from a small lake 8 miles away. Churchill is, of course, a grain port to enable ships to come to the very door of the granary of the world for their cargoes. This giant elevator has accommodation for 4 ocean grain boats, and within the short time of 4 days, all 4 boats can be loaded and sent on their way to the corners of the earth. Did you know that in British Columbia there's a mass of crumbled ruins which was once a flourishing town of 4,000 people? It is Phoenix, the ghost town of Canada, lying deserted and forlorn. When the mines shut down due to the low price of copper, the inhabitants moved away. Now only the ghosts of other days flit about her deserted homes, churches, libraries, 29 hotels, hospitals, and a school. Not a sign of life, not a sound, only ruins, ghosts, and shadows. But isn't that smoke curling from that crumbling chimney on the left? It is, so the ghost town of Phoenix has an inhabitant after all. He is Old Forepaugh, the last loyal supporter of a once busy city. As mayor, chief of police, and a town council, he's content to remain here alone. Did you know that the only mounted military band in the Dominion is to be found in Toronto? And that the horses are loaned by a large department store when they're not busy on delivery wagons? The newly reorganized band is part of the Governor General's bodyguard, the oldest cavalry regiment in Canada. It was founded under the name of the York Dragoons over 100 years ago, before muddy York became Toronto. The drums used today have been in the regiment for 40 years. The drummer's hands are much too full to pay any attention to the reins, so he has them fastened to his feet. Works very well that way, he says. At first, those placid delivery horses didn't altogether like all this new excitement in their ears, but they've pretty well gotten used to it by now. Did you know that beneath the ramparts of old Quebec lies the narrowest street on the continent, Successor? It is so narrow that a car has barely room to get by without scratching its fenders. Successor is not only narrow, but it is only 1 block long. The houses are connected to those across the street by wooden bridges. So if you want to visit your neighbor, you don't go to his front door, just cross the bridge. In a city steeped in tradition, this tiny street under the cliff with its narrow passage and bridged houses provides a strange sight. Did you know that in order to go down a certain hill near Moncton in New Brunswick, you have to step on the gas? And when you want to go up it, well, just watch this. The driver of this car thinks he's going downhill. That's what he thinks. Uh-oh, what's this? Why, the car's coming right back up again. Well, what kind of a hill is this anyway? You never can be sure of things nowadays. Oh, I say, driver, did you have the engine in gear when you were backing up? You didn't? Well, you'll certainly have to show us. All right then, let's go. Do it again. Down the hill he goes. Well, he's at the bottom all right, or is it the top? Well, just to show that the car has nothing to do with this queer behavior, he makes sure the brakes are off, and he puts the gear in neutral. Presto changeo, he's off again, backwards. Of course, the whole thing is just one of nature's optical illusions. What looks like a hill is really a gentle dip in the long rise to Lutz Mountain, but not enough to be really downgrade. Did you know that the Mennonites never drive automobiles? It is the sincere belief of these hardy, honest people that nature cannot be improved upon. The horse is their best friend. In various parts of Ontario, the Mennonites drive each Sunday to their house of worship. A race of rugged, God-fearing people, they strive to live the simple life. But you know, doesn't it seem strange to see so many horses in the country where the automobile is monarch of travel? Here's a problem for customs officials. This territory is in the state of Washington, and just across the road is the province of British Columbia. The international line may be seen coming down the hill. At one small bend in the road, the boundary cuts through it, so that a car traveling along this road will, when it reaches the bend, have its left wheels in the United States and its right wheels in Canada. Notice the wheels of the car. The right ones are traveling through Canada, but the left ones are in the United States territory. The bend in this road is creating rather a problem. The question is, can half of this car be confiscated for unlawful entry? And what about the other half when it returns to its native land without the proper customs papers? Did you know that the Bay of Fundy, which lies between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, is noted for the great rise and fall of its tides? Between high tide and low tide, the difference has been known to reach 62 feet. This, of course, presents quite a problem to ships loading or unloading their cargo. And so, platforms have been built in the mud in front of many wharves on which flat-bottomed boats can rest during low tides. And these are known locally as beds. At low tide along the rivers, there are wide expanses of mud flats, and lighthouses are left high and dry, far inland. But when the tide comes in, it rushes up these rivers in a wave or bore 3 or 4 feet high. The incoming tide surges against the current of the river flowing out, and for several hours wins the battle. Slowly the mud flats are lost to view. The lighthouses again take their place to guide the ships as they rise from their beds. People here know that time and tide wait for no man. We live in, where very often things are not what they seem, and truth is stranger than fiction.